Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event. May I remind you that if you find yourself easily triggered or offended, this is not the place for you. I must also inform you that this show is for entertainment purposes only. So, if you enjoy open, honest, and intelligent banter, welcome! If not, get the fuck out! Now, it's time for Toe to Toe. Common sense conversation for uncommon times. Please welcome your hosts on Toe to Toe, John Mulrooney and Kevin Downey Jr.
But there's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
That was George Carlin in a classic. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. My name is John Mulrooney. This is Toe to Toe, very special edition. I'm happy to say that I have a guest with us tonight who's, I can't really say replacing, nobody can replace Kevin Downey Jr. Kevin is out on assignment, which means he's drunk in a tiki bar. So he's actually got some family business going on in Michigan, and he's back and forth. So in the meantime, fellow patriot and comedian guy I've known. How many years is it now, Rick?
A million.
Come on, guys. Huh?
39 years.
39
How long have I known you?
years.
About 36, maybe?
What's that?
36. How long have I known you? 36 years, something like 37?
36 years.
We're old.
And you got that money on me?
Yeah, I got $46.18.
So Rick Corso and I have been traveling joy salesmen. I will give credit for that line to Joey Gay. That's not my own. Give credit where credit is due. We've both been doing stand-up comedy for 4 decades and have seen a lot of things going on, not just in comedy, but in our lifetime. And certainly, without a doubt, this covering all spectrums of life, this is really the most momentous, oddest, insightful, scary time. I mean, keep on going. How many adjectives can we use?
It's World War III and the Bible combined. It's the end of times. It's the end of everything, the way things are now anyway.
It is, and
it's the Great Awakening.
Truly, if you're not seeing this right now, what's going on, you are, in my opinion, Rick, I believe, would agree, you're willfully ignorant. You are
intentionally asleep.
Turning a blind eye, and I understand to some degree because it's scary as hell what's going on. Rick and I had our careers essentially erased, correct?
Yeah, we work on a ship. They just shut down for 18 months. There's no work.
Well, in addition to that, as working comedians, we have been literally, not unlike Dave Chappelle, literally attacked. People have attempted to cancel us, not just on social media. Who cares about that? Lots of keyboard bullies, but I mean literally in nightclubs where. Gig right here. We're suddenly now what's that?
Gig right here. It wasn't even being political. I was just doing something right out of the news, and boom, you're gone.
Right, where the crowd or the microphone has been turned back over to the heckler, and for whatever reason now, that's the entire world. Everything's upside down. Everything's backwards. Everything's inverted, and whether or not you believe in prophecy or scripture or any of that other stuff, I personally was never a big believer in that per se. I knew I knew there was a strong foundation belief in the Bible in regard to our Constitution and this country in general. But even growing up as a kid, we were never taught about the Bible. We were taught catechism. I was raised. I'm a recovering Catholic. I need to say it right now. Recovering Catholic.
Yes, but I was Catholic until my mother switched to Episcopalian, which was Catholic light, 1/3 less guilt than the regular religion. We could eat meat on Friday, but not a really good cut. Got to have a little gristle in there. But my mother actually told me the reason she switched was because the church was closer. My father didn't want to drive her to church.
I love it. Speaking of, but to my point I was about to make, this much of what we're going through now has been projected, forecast, prophesized, whatever word you're comfortable with. This is not unexpected in the bigger picture. We have been told for eons that this exchange of energies and power was coming, and I personally believe that's what it is. It's an upturning of society. To George Carlin's point in opening up our show, he predicted this when, I don't know when he taped that. It's probably a good 10 years old.
It had to be before 2008. I would say probably around 6 or 7, 2006.
And
yeah, it's been brewing. Those evil forces exist. They've been running the planet now for 100 years, and they were trying to take over the Great Reset, and it got interrupted when Trump won.
I became aware of the term "the Great Reset" while researching something online, and I remember reading it initially and having a visceral reaction. I didn't even know why. I saw this. I guess it was a statement. It was on the cover of Time magazine like 2 years ago.
Well, Hillary Clinton went over to Russia supposedly it was in the guise of resetting relationship with Russia, and she had that stupid button. Remember the reset button? Like a fake button.
Hit the reset button.
Yeah. And they look like a big joke, but it's like we were saying, and the people that we follow on media that's not mainstream media, and I won't mention any names because it doesn't matter. have said that these Satanists, these people, have to tell you what they're doing. It's part of their weird, evil agenda. Is they have to tell you what, and that's what they're doing. They're telling you.
They're telling you. They broadcast what they're doing. We're going to take over the world. One world government, World Economic Forum, combine you with AI, and control you, dwindle the population
slaves,
down to
just like what Carlin was saying.
Million. What's that?
Yeah, just like Carlin was saying.
Go look up the Georgia Guidestones if you don't. If you're not familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, go. I'm not talking to Rick. Go look at the Georgia. What it says on the Georgia Guidestones. It's their plan, what they decide, what it is that they intend to do with this world, not just this country, and it is a global issue. But to our point earlier, it's always, or it seems mostly to be, the poets, the artists, the songwriters, the comedians. We seem to be the leading edge of the battle. So some of the first casualties. I mean, I noticed this cancel culture thing coming into my view within the last 7 to 10 years, and could not figure out what was driving it. I noticed it. I think you and I probably had discussions about it, and I didn't understand it. I was like, this is like a mass hysteria hallucination these people are having. I don't get it. Rick and I know 6 years ago.
It's because they've been brainwashed. It's those rich, like those 13 rich families that Carlin was talking about, that have been controlling the world and brainwashing people, like George said, through the media, and they've gone along with it, and they really feel that they're in the right, telling you what you can do, even though they're not. And but it's hard to. It's the Mark Twain quote. It's easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled, and they've been brainwashed. And it's going to be very painful when they wake up and realize what's been happening, especially if they, were stupid enough to get 4, 5, 6 shots, and their health is going to start failing now because they don't know it's poison.
Speaking of which, in a minute, I want to get to the list that Rick sent me, and it's 5 things to do and implied not to do when you're sharing this information with the quote-unquote, the term has become normies, people who are not seeing what we're seeing. And when I say what we're seeing, I want to preface it with this. We could be wrong. Rick
we could be wrong. I want to read something to you. Now, this is light because we haven't done any comedy yet. And my sister-in-law sent me this. And as far as seeing,
all right. Let me throw one in. One meme I saw because all of the gun control stuff that's going on. So that's the one thing that people who are conservative have that people who are not conservative don't seem to have, the ability to mock well. And so I saw somebody put up and meme because that's so meme. I saw somebody put it up on like a gas station billboard. It said, statistically speaking, you are more likely to be killed by Hillary Clinton than a gun.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Bob, to that point, I just want to say, because I didn't see Dino's commercial up front, do you still have that advertising campaign, the 60-second spot contest? Okay. Yeah. Well, here's my idea for the 60-second spot, because the energy drink has no metal taste, right? So you have an Italian guy come out and go, hey, Dino's energy drink, Maron. If you don't want the taste of, if you like the taste of metal, you could just get dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Hi-oh!
Because they put the gun in the.
I get it.
I figured. I'm explaining my joke.
Suicided. I like it. Hey, this is John Mulrooney. When I'm feeling a little down, feeling a little tired, feeling a little sluggish, what do? I go out, I grab myself a nice Dino Luzzi energy drink. If your local store doesn't have it, it's available on Amazon. And everybody can use a few little extra dollars in their pocket these days. We're giving away $1,000 in Skrilla. That's the real green, Gene. For you, if you can come up with a 60-second or less commercial explaining why you love Dino Luzzi energy drinks. Just go to hashtag Dino Luzzi giveaway. That's Dino Luzzi giveaway, and get your video up there right now so you get yourself $1,000 in your pocket. Tell us why you love Dino Luzzi energy drink.
So here's the one. This is because waking up normies, I think, and maybe you believe this way too, that this is all kind of an orchestrated plan by the good guys to wake up the normies. Inflation and gas prices is one of them. So here is a list of how bad inflation is. My neighbor got a pre-declined credit card in the mail. CEOs are out now playing miniature golf. Pfizer laid off 25 congressmen. I saw a Mormon with only one wife. McDonald's is selling the 1/4 ouncer. Angelina Jolie adopted a child from America. Parents in Beverly Hills fired their nannies and learned their children's names. That's a good one. A truckload of Americans was caught sneaking into Mexico. A picture is now only worth 200 words. When Bill and Hillary travel together, they now have to share a room. Well, that's a good one. The Treasure Island Casino in Las Vegas is now managed by the Somali pirates. Wow. Here we go. Called to get Blue Book value on my car. They asked if the gas tank was full or empty.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Corso.
I got that in an email.
That was a good one. Excellent. Very good. Well done. Thank you. You know what? And again, to our point, this is what we need moving through this entire process, is the ability to break things up with laughter. And because that's what we do for a living, I think you and I know more than most, the value of that. Why are you trying to be a cameraman?
Yes, well, that's how you're going to reach people, because especially when, like we say, the people that have been fooled, that have been brainwashed, do not want to admit that they've been brainwashed. But if you can reach them through humor and they laugh about it, maybe they'll think about it, because it's usually truth and comedy that makes people laugh, and maybe they'll reflect. Maybe not, but at least it'll heal a little bit along the way.
I know that when the veils, so to speak, began to drop, and I started to see what was really happening in our world, the information came with an energetic experience. Is that true for you too? I noticed that when I saw the truth, like what was really going on, along with it came this kind of a rush of energy and a knowing that intuitively said to me, yes. Just like when we're working on stage, it's the same type of energy that tells you, go this way with a joke, or conversely, don't go that way.
When you feel that affirmation, it doesn't always just come verbally. It actually manifests itself physically. There's I'm sure there's chemical reasons in the body why that happens. But where you could say,
but that's
God,
my point. It's not just information; it's information and energy. And to me, that's one of the guiding qualities in discerning whether or not you are getting correct information. I see something, for instance, going back to when I first saw this thing about the Great Reset. I didn't know what it was. This was a couple of years ago, but I remember seeing it, and I felt this. It was like a punch in the chest. I went, "What is this?" And I remember trying to share it with a family member, and I said, "Have you seen this?" Because that was it. It was a bishop who came forward. He's very, very famous now. He's working diligently on the side of goodness, I'm going to say, to help wake people up. But he's a bishop in the Catholic Church, and this guy is coming out and calling them all out. He put this out. It was a very short video. And then I saw something reference about Time Magazine, it being on the cover of Time Magazine, and you said about Hillary's button. But I remember when I first saw it, something went, no! And I showed it to a family member, and they looked at it, and they went, and I said, do you see what they're trying to do with the economy, with the culture, with education, blah, blah, blah? And she said, doesn't sound like such a bad idea to me. And I was thunderstruck. I went, are you kidding me?
It's partially because they've been brainwashed, but it's also because people that have full lives, then you normally don't, they normally delegate about 30 minutes a day to getting the news. They get that whitewashed fake news. Trump couldn't have nailed that more. It's fake news. It's just what they want you to hear. Like Carlin said the same thing. And 30 minutes of it a day, they're going to be not only underinformed, but misinformed. And that's why it's so hard to break through. And that's why, like you said, laughter might be the gateway in.
Denzel Washington, who's a really brilliant speaker. I love his work as an actor, but he's also very insightful. He said, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't watch the news, he said, you're uninformed. He said, so what's the answer? And it came to me immediately. It said, to be self-informed. And what that means is getting back in touch with the intuitive nature of yourself, not taking everything at face value, recognizing you have a natural built-in system to help you discern falsity from truth, and the majority of our world either is not using it or doesn't even know it's available to them.
Well, and because the deep state actors have taken over, I mean, they started Twitter and Facebook. They own all those platforms. That's why they're able to get away with censoring people. That's why they're, all that stuff about Hunter Biden that should have been out there before the election that they took down. It's crazy. I mean, it's obviously not Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey. These are deep state operations.
These are fronts.
They say DARPA.
When I first started hearing that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram were all DARPA projects. What's the acronym for DARPA again? Defense and something program. Actually, I forget. It's a Department of Defense program. They were all DARPA initiated, and that they chose the Zuckerbergs. Who was the guy? Who was the guy from Twitter?
And I hear Zuckerberg is actually a descendant of one of those wealthy families, like a Rothschild or a Getty or something.
And
so they
on
chose
top of all that, we've
well.
joked about it, for a long, long time, about how he just has this plastic alien look to him. We used to think it was, just something material to joke around with. I look at that guy.
He literally said once out loud, "If I were human."
If I were human, and
yeah,
there's a couple of videos that I've seen where his eyes are doing funny stuff, and I'm not going to rely on any of that, obviously. As I've been trained as a police officer, Rick knows my part-time gig as a police officer. Evidence is not proof; it's evidence. Just because something appears to be what it is, you have to do your due diligence, gather correct information, and then make an enlightened or informed decision. Because whoever's watching, you have a kingdom that you must rule. And at this point, we're allowing others to rule it for us. And that starts with the self. Would you agree, Rick? Or I don't want to preach. It starts with owning your own stuff, owning your own thought processes. And the one thing I do on a daily basis is I challenge every thought that comes into my mind. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it's much more labor intensive to do what someone else is telling you what to do, and it goes against your well-being and your best interests. That really sucks. It's hard work to observe your thoughts and go, yeah, these ones are not good for me. I should really question them and ask for guidance here. Like a Course in Miracles says, that's my book. Course in Miracles says your ability to be at peace in any given situation is directly proportional to your ability to question every value you now hold. Now that sounds like a gargantuan task, but it's really very simple. Does the value provide you with a sense of security and peace of mind, or does your value create anxiety and fear? For instance, someone once said, how does it we grow up in a society where we all think it's normal to have a 30-year mortgage, and mortgage in English, by the way, means death contract, mortgage, and a $200,000 student loan? How is it we all agreed that this is?
It's called debt slavery, and they want you in it so they can control you.
That we didn't see that part of it. We saw it as just greedy people doing what greedy people do. No, George Carlin was right on the money. It's a big
and you were right when you talked about questioning each value individually. It's like the Marie Kondo thing with decluttering your apartment, but about values. You go, is this bringing me joy or sorrow? Is this particular thing screwing up my life, or is it helping my life?
Look behind me. I'm sitting in my living room, and behind me is my entire kitchen. This was a conscious decision. You see, there's everything. There's my spices, my fridge, sink, stove. That's everything. I consciously decided to downsize. My sister told me that the Swedish people call it death cleaning. As you get older, you realize that the clutter, you don't need as much. Even George Carlin's bit, I need more stuff. You don't need all this stuff in your life. But those things, from my experience, are just a reflection of what you're thinking. You know, the ego wants more, and it wants yours. And these dark entities, that's all I can call them at this point. I don't even know if they're people anymore. These people following the dark agenda, they just want more of whatever they can get, and they think they have to get it from us. And we've gone.
They think it's a zero-sum game that they can only get it by taking it from you.
So I'm gonna touch on your list. I'd like to wrap up with this because I think your list is timely and pertinent.
Which one?
Or would you like to read it? You want to read it?
No, you can read it.
The five.
Talk about the
What's
one
that?
that flew. That one.
No, the 5 things.
I have another thing by George Carlin.
What's
George
that?
Carlin's wife died in early 2008. George followed her, dying in July of 2008. It's ironic George Carlin, comedian of the 70s and 80s, could write something so very eloquent and so appropriate. An observation by George Carlin. The paradox of our time and history is that we have taller buildings but shorter tempers, wider freeways but narrower viewpoints. We spend more but have less. We buy more but enjoy less. We have bigger houses and smaller families, more conveniences but less time. We have more degrees but less sense, more knowledge but less judgment, more experts yet more problems, more medicine but less wellness. This goes on, but it's he really saw things, and I think it's because as comedians we are trained to think about things. That's what we do for a living.
That's what we do.
And what was the list you were going to go? The one about COVID?
I'll get to you for a second. Somebody asked me once. My roommate, some of you may know, comedian Richard Jenny. My roommate killed himself. We moved out to Los Angeles together. We lived for 2 years, sharing, apartments. A lot of laughs. We did very well in the business in those days. And Richie used to say to me something that we used to joke about all the time, and it was he used to say, "You know what, Mulroney, if you're living in this town and you're not successful, there's every reason to believe you have no right to live." And somewhere along the line, that became true for him, and he was one of the most successful comedians. I would say a step below, like a Seinfeld or someone like that. But he had all of that, and he didn't have that. He didn't have that peace of mind.
Dino Luzzi energy drink. Yeah, it's that good.
This is a list from that Rick shared with me, and it's 5 ways to share this information. The term normies has been used as opposed to those who are awakened. I think that's even a bit of a trap to this constant us against them or us versus them, or we're awake, they're not.
It's actually a more flattering term than calling them asleep, because normies, they're normal. They haven't gotten it yet. It's not putting them pejorative. We're the weird ones. We figured it out.
Fair point. And that was I wanted to the actual point I wanted to make about Richie's take on things once. Somebody asked me once, why do you think it is that comedians do what they do and see things the way they see things? And I said, and this was something that Richie and I spoke about all the time, because Richie really felt this a lot. Comedians have a great sense of what injustice is, and that we can't tolerate it. It's something that is it's abhorrent to our being, and we have to mock it. We have to attack it, because at the at the bottom of every, or at the end of every punchline, something or someone gets dropped or diminished. That's how humor works. You know, you're building them up, 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 and then bang, last minute, here comes the turnaround. And comedians, for whatever reason, it's in our DNA. We see an injustice, we cannot keep our mouth, nor should anyone. But we have the unique ability to do it with a punchline at the end. And now more than ever, we need it. So I'm just going to wrap up with this. These I don't know where you got them. Rick sent me these. I'm not taking credit for it. I'm just going to say 5 tips to share these with friends. Okay. So number 1, and this is kind of common sense stuff, but as our show says, this is common sense conversation for uncommon times. So here are 5 rules for waking up those who are not paying attention. We'll call them normies for now. Do not insult the person you are attempting to wake up. That was a huge mistake. That's my training as a comedian, to just go in the beginning, you know, what are you, a fucking idiot? How do you not see this?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, listen, idiot.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you fucking moron. No, I thought you said, I'm okay, Spider.
I'm okay, Spider.
Oh, yes, like stuttering, picky.
Right.
Go to Ben Casey.
Anyway, I know as soon as somebody starts insulting me, I'm done with you. You know, what do they call it? Your fallacy is ad hominem. The minute you start to attack my person, we're done. You know, if you can't deal with the statement, the issue, the argument, if you will, whatever it is, time to move on. Number 2, do not press too hard or come on too strong. Start light. Another big one. You and I both firmly believe Michelle Obama is a man. And there's a lot of evidence out there to, again, evidence is not proof. There's a lot of evidence to indicate, including something you said earlier, several times Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama, has slipped and called Michelle Mike. No
and
husband
there's all those
has
pictures
ever
too
slipped and called what?
There's all those pictures from way back when they were in college, and it was a guy. So I mean, it just same exact face with short hair and no tits.
I have never been intimately involved with a woman and accidentally slipped and called her a dude's name.
Well, and lived to tell about it.
And lived to tell about it. Very good. Hey, see, there's the joke. There it is, right there in the middle, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3, stand by 1. Do not attempt to initiate. This is a good one because sometimes I'll do that too. I will float it out there. If I float it out and I get an instant, I'll stop.
Yeah,
this
like
says,
in other words, they'll bring it up. They'll go, oh, how about these gas prices? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
right.
Wonder what made that happen.
Do not attempt to initiate. Let them come to you. Very good advice. That's number 3. Make sure you have your information as accurate as possible too. Again,
yes, and you can. It helps if you can cite sources and pull out facts.
Be able to pull out the facts. To quote Ben Shapiro, facts are not feelings. It really doesn't matter how you. I don't want to dismiss your feelings. Of course they matter, but not when it comes to the facts. You can feel however you want, but that's a perception that changes. Number 4, understand that you are not actually waking up that person, but rather initiating a chain reaction, causing them to wake up on their own. To this point, I would like to say, when I had a friend of mine show me the websites with the evidence that Michelle Obama is a man, which included Joan Rivers saying, "Oh, everyone knows it's a tranny. Stop it!" And within a week she was dead. Rick, is that about right? Anyway, there was a chain reaction within me. It took a day for it to roll through, and once it rolled through, I didn't sleep. It was very disturbing. I think Rick froze on us. All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to wrap up with this last one. All right, this is number 5. Unless we get Rick back up on the feed here. All right, this is number 5. Be confident and well-versed in a subject, to Rick's point just a moment ago, before you attempt to share it with others. There you are. I don't know what happened. You froze there a second, Ricky.
Yeah, there was a thing came up on my phone saying I was disconnected, so I just got back on.
All right. I love your lamp, by the way. So could we see you?
Oh, I have it. Is that all right?
There you go.
You got it now?
Bring it down just a little bit. There you go. All right. So anyway, while you were stuck in virtual land, I finished up the 5 points. I'd like to wrap this up with saying thank you. What's that?
Could I do my mask sayings bit?
I'd like to wrap it up by saying, bouncer.
Bounce. I'm going to do my mask sayings bit because I wrote these down. You know, the COVID masks, right?
Go ahead.
People write stuff on the COVID mask like a saying or their motto or whatever, right?
All right.
These are the ones, like I love lists, kind of like a David Letterman top 10 list, but what I actually saw on people's COVID masks. I spent 20 grand on these teeth. I hope to show them to you someday. I don't think this works, but if it shuts you up, I'll wear it. This mask helped me lose 20 pounds. If you could read this, you're not social distancing. Back up! That was me. Me in traffic. My other mask is a Porsche. I'm a prostitute going broke due to COVID. How about in advance? Hey, lip readers, you're screwed. Wow, I do have bad breath. Hey, at least you can't see the spinach in my teeth. This mask is as useless as Joe Biden. That one gets a big scream in the red areas. I wear this to bed. If you'd seen my wife, you'd understand. Those are my mask sayings. I had one other one, right? Because I saw a girl at the airport with I can't breathe on her mask, right? I'm like, take off the mask.
Take off the mask.
Take off the, but I got in trouble for that because people thought I was making some political statement. But no, I'm just a dumb guy that didn't know what the mask meant. They wanted to cancel me.
This morning, when I was listening to one of these a Christian program talking about references of the Bible and what's happening today, he felt that some of the references in the Bible were actual literal. When they were talking about the gates of hell, for instance, they thought they think they're talking about literally Bill and Melinda when they talk about the gates of hell in the Bible. Secondly, when they talk about the road to Damascus, he said that's a play on words also in English, to Damascus.
Well,
he
Damascus
also said,
was a town in Syria, wasn't it?
What's that?
Isn't it a city in the Middle East, Damascus? It's like a literal place.
What do you ask me the geography questions for? Didn't you just see thing number 5, ask intelligent person?
Wasn't there like a big revelation on the way to Damascus, and that's what it means?
Here's the last one he came up with. I thought this was fascinating. You and I both had this insight. June 6th came and went with little attention to the significance of that date. And while our veterans who served, died, and some who survived and came back got almost no play, Gay Pride got 1 month and their own flag. 1 month. Now, here's something interesting. He quoted from the Bible, again, saying, pride cometh before the fall. So he said that was, yeah. Did that? He also said, and I didn't
realize Jesus was so into wordplay.
Yeah, right? He said that the gay pride flag removed a stripe from its rainbow. It took out the color blue. Why? I don't know. But he says there were 7. How many stripes does that make it now?
6.
How many feet did we have to stand apart?
6.
1 more 6.
What's the third one?
6. There's a lot of them.
A lot of 6s.
A lot of 6s.
So if you're in Vegas and you're playing craps, you put money on 6?
I'm John Mulrooney. I want to thank Rick Corso.
Thanks, John.
For joining us on this special edition of Toe to Toe. Hopefully we'll have Kevin Downey Jr. back in studio with us.
Oh, you didn't have to say it that way. That was kind of mean. Hopefully,
was that? Well, then I'm going to use your mother's saying because I never met your mom, but I feel I know her through you. What's your mom say?
Say what you mean what you say,
Mean what
and don't
you
say it mean.
but never say it mean. All right, Rick Corso, thank you very much for joining us on this special
Thank you,
edition
John.
of Toe to Toe. And we'll be, by the way, the place looks great. House looks terrific.
Thanks.
Yeah, Rick's in Florida. I'm in New York. It's a beautiful day here. So go out, enjoy what we can while we can. This weather is a blessing in the midst of all of this. Good luck, Patriots, and awakening people everywhere. We'll speak to you soon.